Hi there, my name is Eli and welcome back to my channel, Draculija. And in today's video, I am continuing my series of customizing my Monster High's Skulltimate Secrets Series 4 dolls, the Monster Mystery series. And today I am focusing on Clawdeen Wolf. Now she's the third in this installment of my videos, and I'm so excited to finally get to work on her. Now, I love her face. I think she has the best G3 Clawdeen face by far. But the one thing I don't love about this doll is that she has polypropylene hair. Now, it's not that bad. Like straight polypropylene compared to curly polypropylene really isn't that bad in the grand scheme of things. But me, being me, I love to reroot these dolls and give them some nice higher quality hair. And usually I reroot with saran hair, but today I want to try and switch things up. So you see how she has these cool micro braids in her hair, just a little bit, right? Like kind of sprinkled in there. I want to give her a head full of micro braids, and I have some right here that I purchased from dollplanet.com, but they are in the color light blue. Now obviously this is not a perfect color match, right? But because these are nylon, you can dye them, hopefully. I mean, I've never done it. We're gonna try that out today, but I'm hoping I can dye these with some RIT dye. And unlike saran, you can't really dye saran hair, just the property of the hair, it doesn't allow for it, but nylon does. So I'm gonna dye these braids, and I have some RIT dye right here. I have this color Hyacinth, which is like a, I don't know, like a lavender purple. I have royal blue and fuchsia. I do have some other blues and pinks as well that I will pull out if I need to, but I am just reusing RIT dye from previous Rainbow High dye projects that I did. I've already had this like lying around, which I know is like not common that everyone just has RIT dye lying around, but I craft a lot, I work on dolls a lot, so I have lots of extra supplies, and before I have to go out and buy more dye, I want to work with what I have, and be resourceful. So hopefully I can mix and blend these colors to try and get these braids to look as close to this purple as possible. It's going to be trial and error. I've never done this before, so it'll be a lot of fun. Now, I'm not going to try and focus as much on the prep work for the rerooting process. I'm just going to get right into things with dyeing the braids and rerooting the braids, and then I'm also going to customize some accessories. But if you want to see some of the prep work, I would recommend to check out some of my old videos, like my more recent Cleo and Abby reroots. I show the whole process in those videos, but today I'm trying something different, so I really want to just, get right into the nitty-gritty of things, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, jumping straight into things, I take some hot water and add some dish soap to prep the RIT dye. I first go in with this purple color Hyacinth, and then I'm adding a little bit of fuchsia. Now, I'm not a professional. I just am a crafter. I just eyeball things and hope for the best. Once I give it a quick little stir, I'm going to just test one little strand of braids at a time before I fully commit to the color, because, what if I hate this color and it looks terrible and then I've already dyed all of my hair? So I wasn't happy with it. I'm adding some more pink. I think that shade was called Petal Pink. Now you can try to pause and see what colors I'm using here, but this is not an exact science. Like I said, I'm not measuring it out. I'm just sort of pouring it in there and eyeballing it and hoping for the best. And this is the process that I like. I don't know, for me, dyeing things is so fun because it's just like a very creative process that feels very unique, especially when you start mixing tons of colors. Like here, I'm adding some royal blue. I was just throwing everything I had in this pot. At this point, I think I have like a purple, a blue, and 2 pink dyes all in this singular pot. It's a mess, but it's fine. I like this color finally after 4 different dyes. And I decided to throw in my bunch of braids. Now this is the majority of the braids. I maybe sectioned out like 10 or so for a different color that I'll do later. But some rules of thumb when it comes to dyeing and using RIT dye. Number 1, the longer you leave something in the dye, the more bold and vivid the color will be. So keep that in mind. You'll see here, it's a little less bold, and as it keeps going a little bit longer, it just gets stronger and stronger in color. Number 2, the hair color is going to appear more vivid when it's wet. So because the hair is wet currently, it's going to look a little darker. Once the hair dries, it'll dry to like the actual color. So keep that in mind. Like if it looks a little dark and you get nervous, just know that when the hair dries, it'll be a little bit lighter. So those are some good things to note. But like I said, this is not an exact science. I just rinse out the hair under some cold water to make sure there's no, residual dye. And I'll move on to the next color. So I'm taking some Petal Pink here. And I did not add enough. Like this first dip test, barely did anything to the hair. And I'm trying to color match that like pink streak that was in Clawdeen's braids. Like, you know, the braids, like the only braids that came in her hair. I'm trying to color match that section. And because the base hair that I'm using is this sort of like baby blue, I'm only adding pink dyes, hoping that, you know, pink plus blue will give purple. But if I add enough pink, it'll be like a pinky purple. Honestly, this color didn't really work out the way I wanted it to, but you know, that's the thing with dyeing. You don't really know what your results are going to be. It's a trial and error type of process. And spoiler, in the end, I don't end up using this color. So it doesn't matter. All these hairs that I'm dyeing right now, I don't end up using, but it's fine. That's part of this process, is sort of just experimenting, having fun with it, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. And this did not work, but the color's fine. You know, thankfully it was only 10 braids that I'm not using, so whatever. Now, to begin the rerooting process, I am taking my braid, and I just made this rerooting tool for this project because I needed my needle to be a little bit bigger because it's trying to pick up a whole braid, you know, rather than loose hair. So the gap for the needle needs to be a little bit larger and wider so I can pick up that hair. Now, my first couple attempts, it was not working out. As you can see, the braid is kind of getting frayed and struggling to go inside the head, and I try again, once again, to no avail. It still just wasn't working how I envisioned it in my head. So, you know, snip off the end of the braid that kind of got frayed and try again. And I noticed that I think my rerooting tool was too long, so I'm just trimming it a little bit shorter so it's less long and a little bit more, I don't know, shorter and stout. And now I notice that this works a lot better for picking up the braids. Now, my technique that I'm using today is very similar to a technique that I've used in the past when I reroot with tinsel. So because I am rooting with braids, I only want like a singular braid coming out rather than two. Traditionally, when you reroot, you were sort of folding the hair over and it doubles in density, and you know, it's a whole process. But with the braids, they're already pretty thick and dense as is. So if I had, you know, two braids coming out of single plugs across the entirety of this head, it would just get, number one, dense way too quickly, and number two, just be too much hair in one single area and spot. So my technique is I fold over the braid over my finger and leave maybe like 3/4 of an inch of the braid, and then because there's just a tiny little bit of braid that is hanging over the tool, I grab it really, really closely to the needle and hold it very tight and then stick it in the head. So it's a pretty interesting technique, but it works really, really well. So that way you'll see when I stick it in the head, the other end that is like very short eventually just gets pushed all the way in the head. You'll see the ends of the braid sort of just get pushed in there. And then in the end, what you get is just one singular braid coming out of the head. So this is the technique that I thought would work best, and I'm really happy with the results now that I've sort of, you know, fixed the needle to work properly. And another thing to note is that when I'm going around the hairline, I'm not rooting every single plug, like every little hole. I may be skipping every other plug because sometimes these braids are too thick and dense, and when I'm rooting in, like, it sort of will spill over to the neighboring plug essentially, and like split a hole and split the scalp kind of. So keep that in mind, you know, when you're doing this, to leave some space and gaps when it comes to the hairline specifically, because if you try to root every single hole, you're going to tear the hairline and ruin the doll, and it's gonna rip and tear and not gonna work out well. So hopefully any of that made sense. You'll see, I'll show you closely like what this hairline looks like. You're gonna see some small gaps in between, and that's okay because you do not want this to tear. Now, I'm also doing a technique here where I didn't like the way the braid looks right here. It just kind of looks off. So I am sort of just picking it up towards the base, and I'm going to be pushing it in a little bit further so I just have a cleaner looking braid. I was just coming up with techniques on the fly and trying to make things work. And honestly, I did this technique quite often on this reroot because I wasn't happy with some of the way the braids would get pushed in the head. And this would sort of push it in deeper so the braid looked cleaner, if that makes any sense at all. I hope it does. Okay, real quick update. So here is the process for the micro braids. I'm having a really easy time rerooting them, which I'm happy with because I was nervous about my technique, but it works. It works really well. Now, my huge problem that I ran into is I only bought one bag of micro braids and it's not enough hair. It is not enough. So I actually went and bought two more right here. They just came in today. So this kind of delayed the project a little bit because I didn't buy enough hair. I don't know why I thought I could only get away with one bag. And one bag is like 1 ounce. And I went on the website and they recommend 3 ounces for a Monster High doll. So that's why I bought 2 more bags. So the game plan is I am going to dye these purple off camera real quick and I'll show you the results. And then I'm probably gonna like change up the plan, you know, and it's gonna maybe be like a purple ombre kind of moment, just because I'm nervous how well I'll be able to color match this. So instead of even trying to color match, I'm gonna try to do like a dark to light purple ombre moment. And it's gonna definitely deviate from Clawdeen's original hair pattern, right? Where it was all purple with just a little bit of streaks in the center. It's fine. It's fine. I'm trying to be adaptive and flexible and make the best out of a bad situation, you know? So that's the game plan. I'll be right back and hopefully I can dye this to some pretty shades of purple. Let's see. Okay, let's continue dyeing. So I'm dyeing 4 different colors here today. I have 2 bags of braids. I've divided it into 4 parts. And this is the first color that I am coming up with. This is also something I'm just doing on the fly, okay? Now, one thing to note I forgot to mention earlier is the pot that I'm using to dye the hair in, I have it specifically set aside and dedicated towards crafting projects. You do not want to, you know, dye something in RIT dye and then cook food out of there because you are basically contaminating this pot with harsh chemicals. So keep that in mind. This is my specific like RIT dye pot, okay? I want to mention that because I don't want to have anyone get in harm's way by customizing their dolls, okay? Now that's the purple color I got and I'm happy with it. We're gonna add some more braids inside and twirl it around, and I can't remember what colors I added. I think I did like a pink purple combo here, and I think this looks fine. I'm gonna take it out and rinse it under some cold water, see if I like the results of this color. Now, like I said, this was me being adaptive because I totally messed up and didn't order enough braids. Now, this technique is I'm just adding more water to dilute the solution, and then I can add more RIT dye and add more colors to change the end results. So I'm adding this light blue right here, testing it, seeing how it, you know, affected the dye solution, and that's what I'm working with. Wasn't looking good, so I'm adding some of a lighter pink. This color is called Rose Quartz, and then I'm adding some blue as well. Oh my gosh, what is that blue called? I can't remember, like royal blue maybe? As you can see, I just love throwing dyes in there and seeing what's gonna happen. And I'm mixing it around with a skewer this time because I didn't have any more disposable chopsticks. And, you know, just testing and seeing what the braid looks like, seeing if I like it before I commit. Now, I must have liked the color because there I go, throwing all these braids in there. And, you know, this project, I'm basically having to do this because the Doll Planet didn't have purple braids, essentially. So that's why I'm being adaptive and dyeing the braids in the first place. And I have slight dyeing experience in the past when I've dyed some of my Color and Create Rainbow High dolls. I actually have done some videos on those and they were really fun. My favorite one was the purple-eyed girl who had like the rainbow hair. Gorgeous. Okay, now I'm really big-brained here. I'm adding some coral dye because I figure if you can neutralize blonde with purple, right, you could probably neutralize blue with orange. So I'm neutralizing this blue, hoping to get silver, and I did just that. Like I said, my big brain moment, and this was an idea that I had on the fly because I was looking at my other dye colors and I saw this orange color. I think it's called coral, and I was like, brilliant, brilliant, let's do it. And look at that. Look how perfect that is. It's like a nice smoky silver, and it dries a little lighter, which is perfect because here it was a tad dark, but I trusted the process. Now I'm diluting this coral solution, adding some more water, and now I'm adding in some fuchsia to bring in some pink tones because I figure if I have silver, let's try to like adapt that silver, right? No, this was not my favorite color. I didn't love this color, and eventually I had to go fix it because it just wasn't looking right. But it's fine, you know, like I said, this is just a trial and error type of thing. I don't really know what I'm doing, and I'm just throwing dyes in for fun. Look it, I'm adding more pink. Why? I'm adding petal pink now, because why not? Now I'm doing a little dip test, seeing if I like this color. I must have liked it because I think I commit and I throw in my next round of braids. Now you can see like the dish soap at the top, all the bubbles. This is very, very red leaning, and it was too red in the end. I'm going to eventually dilute this and add some purple because sometimes like the pinks can overpower the blue and it just doesn't end up looking right. And unfortunately, this did not look right in my mind. Like when I set it aside, I was like, no, this isn't good. So I'm diluting this solution. I'm going to add some more hot water and add some purple dye and try and fix it. Okay, we're just the trial and error thing here. I'm adding in some more purples. Boom, look at that water. That solution is a lot more purple toned, and I'm just doing a quick little dip to fix that color because it was too pinky toned. And eventually I add some more pink, I guess, for our next and last color. Actually, I'm fixing hair because this hair that I had earlier that I dyed was too blue. So I'm just giving it a quick dip in the purple and fixing the color. In the end, two of my colors look really, really close, and it's not the best, but I'm still happy with these results from this dye session. It was chaotic and it was a mess, but it looks good in the end. I'll give myself that. Okay, quick update. I let the hair air dry after I dyed it, and this is what I'm working with. I did 4 different colors. Granted, these two right here are like very, very similar, if not the exact same, which is fine. It's cool. And then this is the original purple that I dyed a couple days ago, which is the darkest. So I'm gonna do an ombre. I really like this purple right here, and then that's kind of like a silver tone. So I really like the results I got out of today's dye session. It was a lot of fun. Chaotic as usual, because, you know, that's me. But here it is drying on my Jack Skellington dish towel, and I think it's almost near dry, so I can start continuing to reroot. So yeah, we got to make sure we can finish this diva. Let's go. Okay, the quickest of updates on Clawdeen. There she is. Okay, so I am finishing off the hairline. Well, I finished it off, as you can see. So we go from dark purple to lighter purple, so it's kind of like an ombre effect. I think it looks really nice and natural the way the colors are. And then right here as we're getting towards her center part, I'm getting into those like more silvery purples, and I even did a couple silver strands right there. I'm really liking the results. And also something to note is for these 3 most recent rows that I did right here, I am not rooting every single plug with the braid. I started to do every 2 plugs, and then I'd skip 1. So like 2 braids, skip 1, 2 braids, skip 1, as you can see. And my strategy with that is I don't want this to be too dense at the top right here when the hair is gonna lay flat. I just don't want it to like puff out so much, you know? So I'm hoping if I am strategically like skipping some every now and then, it will make sure that the braids lay nicely against her head. I still want it to be full, obviously, but I think if I were to just root every single, you know, empty plug with hair, it's going to be too much hair. So out of fear / just strategy, I'm trying to make sure that I get the best looking end results, and I think it'll look pretty good because like look how good she looks already. Like, oh my gosh, she looks so good. Okay, I'm going to keep going, and we're almost there. We're almost at the finish line. Okay, let's carry on with rerooting these micro braids. So as you can see, cut it in half, pick it up with your rerooting tool, leave about 3/4 of an inch on one end, and then hold it very taut with your fingers so it doesn't come undone or loose. And then I'm just gonna take that and stick it right in the doll head. Pretty easy process. Now, there are some subtleties that like are hard to explain and describe, but sometimes when you pull out your tool, you can accidentally snag the braid because, you know, the needle is sharp and will snag it by, you know, I don't know, by mistake. And this happened right here, actually. I snagged the braid, and I'm going to show you that technique once more, where I just sort of push the braid in on top of itself and push it in further into the head. So that part that's snagged and frayed, I'm just gonna push it in further and hide those kind of ugly bits, essentially. So I have a nice clean braid. Now I'm very, what's the word? I'm a perfectionist, you know, and I want these braids to look nice. So I do spend a lot of time making sure that I am sticking them in the head as carefully as I can. So I'm not snagging them, they're not frayed, there's not little bits that are like unruly, because that's really, really easy. I mean, if you have ever bought a doll that's come with micro braids from Mattel, MGA, wherever, you'll notice sometimes that you'll have braids that are frayed or bunched up or just like, you know, they're messed up essentially. And it's because they're really, really delicate. So when a factory is rooting the micro braids, they're going to be obviously rooting very, very quickly, and it's prone to snagging. And it just is what it is when you are, you know, creating something at that scale, when you're mass producing something. But because I'm not mass producing this doll, this is, you know, by hand, one by one, I can make sure that I am, you know, a little bit more delicate with my rerooting process, so I have a really nice, clean, and sleek end result. As you know, that's something I love. I love my projects to be very sleek. I use that word a lot, but I really do like it. Also, let me try and describe the process for creating like a really nice, smooth ombre effect. I don't want just like harsh transitions, right, from different shades of purple to the next. So instead of just kind of having a harsh line in the hair where it's like jumping shade colors, I'll try to like intermix and blend different colors throughout different rows. So there will be like 2 or 3 rows of hair that I'm doing that I'll be blending the colors, where I'll put like 2 shades of purple next to each other and intentionally try to create a really nice, fun, and multi-dimensional look with the purple hair. And that's a fun process. Like, picking and placing the colors is really fun. It's something that I'm doing like on the fly as I'm going. I don't have like a color map where I'm like, okay, now here I'm gonna move to this color. It's just sort of like an instinct and a gut reaction, and knowing like how the colors should look and where they should be on the head. So I know, like, for me, when I'm doing these types of processes that are very creative and instinctual, it's not easy all the time to describe the processes, but I'm trying to also try and describe my like thought process, because if you have that sort of thought process, it doesn't become something where you're like, oh no, I don't have a tutorial that's telling me like step by step what I need to do. It's more so trying to train your mind to just think creatively, where those creative thoughts kind of become second nature, where you just trust yourself and trust your decisions. Because for me, as someone who likes to tap into my artistic side with this hobby, with dolls and doll hair and whatever, you know, you really want to trust your gut and envision these results in your head and execute them properly. And I'm very confident. So like, for me, this is a fun thing for me to do, where I'm like filming this process and I'm kind of winging it at the same time. And there's an element of risk, like, will it turn out as I envision? And that can be scary, yes. But things that are scary can also be very fun and exciting because of that element of fear, you know? So I know this is something so silly like rerooting doll hair, but trust yourself, you know, believe in yourself. If you have a vision that you want to see come to fruition, trust in yourself that you can accomplish that vision, because you can, okay? As I was chugging along with the micro braids, I started to get nervous again that I was running low. So I sort of prematurely wanted to start rooting the center part. Now the center part is kind of more a traditional style of rerooting, where I'm just folding the hair over in half. So I am essentially sticking 2 braids into one plug, you know, one empty plug on the head. Now, the challenges that come with this is that I am doubling the density because I have 2 braids essentially, and it's really difficult to stick the tool in the head. And as you can see, I just snapped my needle and broke my rerooting tool. So I was very sad. I broke the needle and I made another one, but yeah, there you can see I broke the needle, and it's unfortunate. And this needle was doing me really good for the entire video until that very moment. Now, I made another one very quickly off camera, just snipped it, and we're good to go. We're back in business. I'm trying to be very, very careful because, you know, I just broke a needle, so I don't want to break another one. But that's the challenge that comes with the center part because of this technique, where I'm sort of sticking in 2 braids at once essentially, and, you know, moving one over to the left side, one over to the right side to create that part line. The braids are just really dense, so it can be a challenge to successfully stick your rerooting tool into the head. Now, do be very careful here because you do not want to split the middle part open and split the head open. So I'm kind of doing the same thing I did with the hairline, where I'm kind of skipping 1 or 2 plugs. And as you can see, like, it's still pretty full coverage as far as the hairline looks, or I mean the center part looks. Like, it looks really nice. There's not a lot of visible bald spots, but you just want to be careful to not stick the hair too close to one another that you're going to like split the scalp open. So keep that in mind. Now, as I was going, I was so close to the end and I broke another needle. Like, you're joking. And I had no more, so I had to run to Michael's and pick up some more needles to use. Now, these are in the embroidery section. These are the chenille needle. There's also tapestry needles, which I don't know the difference. They looked so similar, but I bought them in size 20, which works really, really well. They are still small enough that I can easily snip them, but they're also on the bigger size, the bigger end of things, where the little, you know, end right here that I'm snipping off like has a wide enough opening that I can still pick up the micro braids. Because if you have too small of a needle, you will not be able to pick up these micro braids the way you need to pick them up, okay? And that is another challenge in and of itself that I've barely talked about here. But like, picking up those braids without snagging them is such a challenge, okay? Like, it's so difficult. And I eventually nailed it, but like, there were so many times where I was just struggling over and over again picking up the hair. Oh, also, that braid flopped. It was a mess. I just snipped the end and tried again. But here we go. I finished the reroot and I'm so happy. This took forever, but it was so much fun and it looks really good. Okay, Clawdeen's reroot is nearly finished. I'm done adding all the braids. I think it looks good. Honestly, this was a lot more work than I thought it would be. You know, I thought because I wasn't separating out the hair and like the braids were easy to handle, that this would be easy. It was not. It was still quite challenging, but I'm glad we reached the end. I'm now gonna add some Fabri-Tac glue inside very, very generously. I mean, you can see there's the like frayed ends of the braids. So I really wanna make sure that I'm adding enough of this glue. So I'm gonna apply more than I feel like I normally would and try to rub it all around. But yes, this took forever. This took long just because of me shipping the wrong amount of braids and then having to dye them each time, and then my needle broke like twice. It was just anything that could go wrong was kind of going wrong. But it happens and we're at the end and I'm happy it's near over. I think she looks really good. I'm nervous how well her little like headphone headset is gonna fit. Yeah, so we'll see. I'm just really trying to put more glue in there than I normally would. Okay. Let me see. I'm going to rub around with this Q-tip and we should be good. I'm going to try to let this dry for like, I don't know, a day, overnight. And we should call it. But yeah, this is dense. Like, this is packed with hair inside here. Okay, I am all finished working on my Clawdeen custom. Now in this video, I primarily focused on the reroot with the micro braids, but on my own time, I also went and did a lot of extra things to sort of elevate her as well. I painted some details on her plastic accessories and I made her this little waist chain that spells out her name. I've done that and I kind of went over that in prior customization videos, but because I was doing something new with this Clawdeen, such as giving her a head full of micro braids, which I've never done before, I really wanted this particular video to just focus on that aspect of her particular customization. So if you are curious about seeing how I go about painting and, you know, these little waist chains, I've kind of covered those in my previous Skulltimate Secrets customs, such as Abby and Cleo that I recently posted. But for Clawdeen, because this was such like a massive undertaking for me, I really just wanted to focus on this hair. And I mean, I think the results kind of speak for themselves. Like, it's gorgeous. It turned out exquisitely and I'm just obsessed with her end results. She's, I always say this, like clockwork. I say this in every video of mine that I'm doing any type of customizing, but I'm like, this is my new favorite doll. And like, it's okay, come on, they can't all be my favorites. I know, but she really is just stunning. Okay, I'm gonna move aside this Clawdeen just so we can look at her, and I'll bring her back towards the end, but I don't want her to like take away any of the focus on this Clawdeen right here. Okay, so starting off with her hair, I did style it just ever so slightly. Let me take off her like headset piece, which I actually love. Like, look how cute she looks with it on. But let me take it off just so I can show you the braids. So I took this hair that was sort of like towards her part line, and I braided the braids, and then I tied them back, and they're sort of hidden back here, as you can see. But I like this for a couple of reasons. It's just a really quick, I just braided the braids. It's really easy. But it sort of clears out some of the hair that was in her face. When it was just straight down, it was sort of obstructing her eyes a little bit. So this sort of helps to open up her face, open up her eyes a little bit. And I also like that it sort of separates the front portion of her hair with the back portion, so you can sort of see some of these deeper purples coming through on the side profile. So overall, I'm really happy with this quick and easy hairstyle that I gave her. And these braids are really fun and easy to play around and like give hairstyles to. So if I wanted to, I could easily switch this up and play around. And she just is so versatile and so gorgeous. And she feels extra special to me because of the aspect that I had to dye her hair as well. It just makes her feel even a little bit more custom, which I love. And I hope the color is coming through well on camera, but like, do you see these braids? Like, I really want Mattel and Monster High to just give us a G3 doll with hair like this. Now, granted, like I said, because this was my own personal customizing reroot project, she's very, very dense. Like, she has tons and tons of hair. Even if you look here, yeah, there's some exposed scalp, but for the most part, like, this is a ton of hair that I put on this doll's head, which just is so fun and satisfying to play with. She feels so substantial and she looks gorgeous. Like, I have no words. I have no words. I'm so glad I opened up Pandora's box with rooting with micro braids, because now I want to do more and more. The only caveat is that it's kind of expensive. Like, all of the hair cost me like probably $40 something with shipping. So kind of expensive, but definitely worth it. And I will say, I really hope that Mattel and Monster High for G3 open up the horizons as far as giving us more diverse hairstyles and textures. I know they've slowly kind of tried to do it right. Like, Venus's core doll has those really cool like twists. And this doll even came with some braids just in her center part. I want like a full head of braids. I want tighter curls. I want more diverse hair textures. So, come on, Mattel, I know you have it in you. Give it to us, because look how gorgeous Clawdeen looks here. Like, do you see her? She is so cool, ready for stage as a pop star. Also, I've been, well, I just watched Agatha, and I've been singing the Witch's Road song like all week, all day. And somehow she gives me like, pop star in the day, but like secretly she's in like a coven or something, Like, I could see her joining Draculaura as a witch. I don't know. I'm in a witchy spirit for the fall season. So I'm just so happy with how Clawdeen turned out. Okay, now let me show you some of the other details off camera that I did. I painted her headset, as you can see. I added a lot of paint details, like this purple paint on the moons, some gold paint for the chains, the studs up here. I even painted the moons with some like glittery paint right there. Yeah, I added a lot of detail. This was just a total passion project, so I find that Clawdeen gets a lot of my love and attention because her pieces tend to have some of my favorite sculpts. Like, whoever designs its sculpts for this doll in particular, they seem to just hit it out of the park every time. And you would think like werewolf, moons, constellations like would get tired, but they seem to do such a good job every time. And even as ridiculous as these like headsets are, it just looks so cute. And then for her chest piece, I actually painted over the default paint with this like iridescent paint. I'll show you it real quick. I have the paint set aside. So this sort of like iridescent purpley to blue paint is this right here, Folk Art Color Shift in Purple Flash. Beautiful paint, kind of expensive, but it gives you that really nice like color shift. And then for the gold right there, like on the chains and stuff, I use my favorite gold paint. That is Folk Art Treasure Gold in the color gold. And then for these like deeper purple accents on her headset, it's like right there and right there, I used a metallic purple paint. This one is Deco Art Extreme Sheen in the color Amethyst. And then for the black details, which we'll get to down here on her boots, oh my gosh, these boots. These freaking boots. Do you see these? Like, I spent so much time painting them, and I feel like the lighting is kind of not doing them justice. I'll be so honest. I'm trying to adjust the lighting, but like, they were beautifully sculpted. I painted some gold chain details, painted the little charms on the side, these straps right here. I painted these straps, painted the studs, painted the chains. Like, I did a lot to these boots, and on both sides. Granted, you probably don't even see the inside of the boot all too well, but like, come on now. Come on now. For the black, I just used this like hobby craft paint model color in Vallejo black, pretty simple. And then the last little thing that I did that is so subtle, but it's like my favorite paint. I talk about it all the time. You'll see it a little bit right here in the gold details on her boots with like the sparkle, as well as the chest plate right here on the stars. There's kind of like a glittery shift to them. This is my favorite paint. I never shut up about it. It is Folk Art Dragonfly Glaze, and this is the blue, green, gold shift. I will mention this again and again and again, but for these particular paints, whatever color is last in the sequence, so here is blue, green, gold, will be the most prominent. So because gold is last in this color sequence, it's the most prominent color, so that's why I chose it. And yeah, the sparkle on it is just otherworldly. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Oh, I also painted her nails, because why not? Look at that. Fresh little manicure. Painted the gloves. I was just going to town with her, okay? And oh, and then this waist chain. Now, I also kind of outdid myself here. Like, we need to talk about it because Clawdeen's name is really long, right? 8 letters. So I wasn't sure how I was going to do it, but I kind of did like a drooping chain right here, and then they're tied in the center, and then I'm trying to like get it to lay right, but you know, sometimes it struggles. So let me like fix it a little bit. Well, yeah, it's kind of struggling right now, but if I get it to lay right, you can see C-L-A-W, and then we go to the other side. I'm trying to like fix the letters. We have D-E-E-N. So it says her name, Clawdeen. All of my other customs that I've done for the series have this as well, but like Clawdeen's turned out the best by far. It's so cute. It looks amazing, and I'm really proud of myself. So that is the end results for this video. The hair was the primary focus, like I said, but I also did a lot of things off camera. Like while I was waiting for my braid shipment to come in, I was just working on painting her accessories, and this is the extra outfit that this doll comes with. But yeah, there they are side by side, kind of like stage performance, training, ballet kind of look. And I don't know, she might be my favorite. Like, as much as I think I kind of really ate with Cleo and Abby, yeah, Clawdeen kind of always is the best. That's my opinion. Like, here's the thing with G3 that is so bizarre and so funny, is I feel like initially everyone clowned on Clawdeen, hated Clawdeen, Polydeen, right? Everyone, because she always had polypropylene hair. She was just like, no one was vibing with her. She was meant to be like the main character of G3, and then her fashion was kind of meh, right? But like, give her time to cook, and the designers have just been nailing her designs, and I'm so happy. Like, I love this doll. And I'll finish off the series with Draculaura next. Who knows when that'll be, because I'm pooped. I'm so tired from this custom, but like, it was so worth it. But also, one quick update. If you watched my previous video, I opened up the, what is it called? Eekend Getaway 2-pack, and my Draculaura, here she is. She came with a lot of bald spots, and I showed it in the video, and it was sad. And I contacted Mattel, and they are refunding me $80 for the cost of the playset. So yeah, I'm getting my money back, which is crazy and very cool. And you know, granted she's bald, but it's fine because she's now technically free. I think the idea is they send you the $80 and she was like, okay, now you can go rebuy the set. Oh, I'm not gonna rebuy the set. Like, I'm just gonna take my bald doll and be on my merry way, but thank you. But I wanted to give that quick update because a lot of kind people were like in the comments, like, I'm so sorry Draculaura was bald. Like, I hope you can get your money back. I did, so I'm very happy, but just quick little update. Okay, that is long-winded. That was a long one in this video, but honestly, I love long-form content, and I sort of just like make videos in my head that like I would want to watch. So even though sometimes my videos are long, lengthy, and I'm a chatterini, it's fine because it's the content that I would love to watch. So that's my thought process. I hope it works out in the end because I could literally be here blabbering all day, but I'll spare you that today. But that's all I have to share. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you had fun watching this custom. I mean, please go give your dolls some micro braids. This was so much fun. Was it difficult? It was. I'm not gonna lie. It was difficult, but like seeing this doll and playing with her, so satisfying. And I'm obsessed, thoroughly obsessed. Okay, that is all I have to share. My name is Eli. I would love if you choose to subscribe and stick around for future content. Like this video, leave a nice kind comment below, and I'll chat with you in the comment section. But that is all I have to share with you today. Thank you so much for watching. This is my channel, Draculijah, and I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, bye-bye.